going to need to play some music while we're doing the check-in stuff. Folks, if you're joining us, I just need to make sure that all our channels are live and active. We sometimes have issues, so for about a minute's moment, let's see, we're connecting, sending data. All right, Facebook is up. YouTube is up. X is up. And we should be able to save and go live. I also keep my iPhone up to make sure that we are being active out there. And just want to make sure everything's running fine. And we'll be about ready to go. Yes, we are showing. I'm showing good connection on iPhone. So there we go. All right, folks. Gene Galin here with the Chatham Journal with Shibo Rojas of the Chatham News and Record. And today we're actually going to kick off. Shibo got to follow the UNC basketball team to Dayton, wrote up an article in the North State Journal. Also had an opportunity to talk to Drake Powell. We're going to show a quick video, less than a minute, here on the live stream Sports Roundup. We're also going to talk about last week's North Carolina High School Athletic Association 2A basketball regional results. Northwood boys and girls, Seaford girls played. Very results there. And then on Saturday, Shibo and I were both there for the state championship game between Northwood and Reedsville. We'll talk about that, how that went. Again, paper comes out today, Chatham News and Record. We'll go into what stories of Shibo's got in the paper today. Make sure you go out and pick that up if you don't subscribe. Of course, everyone's favorite is Shibo's Athlete of the Week. Some folks may already have guessed who that is, but we'll wait till that time comes. And then spring sports are into full swing. You got soccer, softball, baseball, lacrosse, track and field. I know Northwood had an event out there yesterday evening, and then we'll talk about what we're going to be covering over the next several days. So let me get rid of this graphic and get into it. All right, Shibo. You went to Dayton, Ohio. I think it's like people talk about Disney World, but Dayton, Ohio is right up there with the happiest place in the world, at least for the teams that make it. Tell us the scoop, how that happened, and give us an idea of what went on. And then I'm also got a quick little video of you talking to Drake Powell after the game. So go ahead and give folks in Chatham County a spiel as to how this happened and what went on and what you covered.
Yeah, so of course, when UNC found out they did make the tournament on Sunday, of course our editors get the opportunity to travel and I had never been to a tournament game in person. I did cover UNC's two of UNC's games in their 2022 run, but during COVID, I was the game writer for the Daily Tar Heel, so I covered it on TV from my dorm at UNC. But Tuesday, of course, I got the chance to drive all the way up today in 7 hours, 15 minutes, I think, from here, where I live in Carborough. And yeah, it was a great time for me, of course, but also just being with other reporters from UNC covering the team. And I got a chance to, I was telling Gene, and if you guys saw my X account and saw my interview with CJ Hines from Alabama State, got a chance to interview him and see his family. We grew up together in Lawrenceville, Georgia, and he went to the same high school. He played basketball and was a standout athlete there. And actually started on the D2 level and worked his way up to Alabama State. So it was cool to see him and his team get their first ever tournament win. And of course, that was the best game of the night if you guys were watching the game before UNC. But yeah, covering UNC, a great game for the Tar Heels, of course. Come out, hit 14 threes as a team. RJ has a record-breaking night with going 6 for 6 from three. And yeah, I mean, UNC, even though, you talking to the players after the game, they were saying, we kind of didn't really want to take the noise personal about us not deserving to be in there. They made a statement on Tuesday night that they deserve to be in there. And so they'll get another chance to prove themselves again on Friday when they play Ole Miss in Milwaukee. And then also, too, like Gene said, I got a chance to catch up with Drake for a little bit, just ask him about his experience in his first tournament game, and also, too, just what he saw on the defensive side of things. Because as much as the offense was the story, the defense, of course, with Drake being at the top of the defense and many of those possessions as the first line of defense there, they did really well, especially in that first half. I think they held San Diego State without a field goal for a good number of minutes in the middle of that first half. As they were building their lead, I think they went on a 22 run in the middle of that first half, and yeah, this defense was a huge part of that. So, Gene, I think you got the clip of me talking with Drake.
Yeah, we're going to bring up the clip. And just another reminder, folks, as Ashibo said, if you were following him on X at Ashibo R38, you've already seen this clip. But for the folks who haven't, let me I got to bring it up. I've got to change the format. Okay. Let me bring up the clip. Yeah, I think this is the only second time I've done the video that we're going to bring up. There we go. And I uploaded this, and hopefully this will be.
Yeah, first tournament win for you. I mean, what were your feelings coming into this game? And I mean, what was going through your head?
Just super excited. My parents, they were in the stands watching the game, and to be able to experience March Madness, something that I watched as a kid growing up. There's a lot of great players that have played in this tournament, and to experience it with my guys was very fun.
Yeah, and I was going to ask you your perspective, on the defensive side of things. Cause I know a lot of stories are going to be about the offense, but you guys held the Aztecs, I think, to like 2 field goals for a long stretch, or without a field goal for a long stretch in that first half. Just what were you seeing that was working defensively for you guys?
I thought our physicality, pressure, we just like took them out of their stuff. Really, I think this team we hang our hat on defense, and I don't think offense.
All right. But yeah, first tournament win for you.
There we go. All right. All right. First time we ran it through, it's a vertical shot and it showed up fine, but it wouldn't let me do that while we were in the live phase. But if you want to see it in the proper perspective, just go on to Ashibo R38 and you'll be able to see that. So again, another reason you guys should be following Ashibo on X. He's got all that information on there. All right. Anything else about, Drake played 20 minutes. I think he had 7 points, but as everyone who's been watching him knows, it's his defense that Coach Hubert counts on. So I think you saw plenty of that during that game, didn't you?
Yep, and he hit a 3 as well, contributed to the 3-point onslaught by the Tar Heels. So yeah, he had a great game. Almost had a breakaway dunk, if you guys remember, I think in the second half, but he got fouled in the clear pass. So he almost had a cool moment there. But I'm sure in this next game, and if UNC continues to, go on in this tournament, I'm sure he'll have more opportunities for great moments for himself.
Yeah, wasn't there one play where he went up and the San Diego State player was getting lay the ball up and he caught it, and I think the refs called the play off. It was kind of he's done that a couple of times during the season where he just snatches that ball just before it goes up towards the basket, and I think he had one of those as well. So folks in Chatham County are happy to see Drake playing well, and Ashibo got to follow him to date, and so I'm glad he got that opportunity because, as I told him earlier, it's not too many folks who've just recently been out of J school who are able to cover an event like that. So great to see Ashibo not only doing well here in Chatham County, but also covering stuff for the North State Journal, which is the parent company for the Chatham News and Record. All right, let's get into high school basketball. Two teams last week from Chatham County went to the state. That we had the regional championships on Thursday and then the state championships on Saturday. I think we briefly touched on this last Friday. A quick refresh on what happened in the Thursday night games.
Yeah, so just start with Seaforth, Southeast Alamance on the girls' side. Of course, Southeast Alamance got the best of Seaforth, and that went 48-45. And yeah, just kind of to recap what we kind of talked about last week as well, just Seaforth, Southeast Alamance, back and forth teams, really familiar with each other. Traded buckets all throughout that first half. And then second half, Seaforth came out on a big run led by Katie Leonard. She scored 11 in that third quarter and got up to an 8-point lead. And later in that half, Southeast Alamance calls a timeout and make an adjustment and switch to man coverage after being in that zone. And the game pretty much changes from there. And Seaforth really struggled offensively for the rest of that game and couldn't really hit shots, couldn't really get open shots like they usually like to. And Southeast Alamance just hit some big shots when they needed to. Natalie Lopez, I think, hit 2 threes in that fourth quarter, including the one that gave them a 46-43 lead. And yeah, and that's pretty much all she wrote for that game. And they were able to hold the ball, of course. No shot clock, unfortunately, in high school. So they got the lead, slowed it down, ran the clock down, and pretty much sealed the win and forced Seaforth to foul. So, yeah, that's what we saw from the Seaforth Southeast Alamance game. And then Northwood playing West Bladen. Cam Fowler, pretty much all over the place in that one. And we'll talk more about his performance, of course, later in the stream. But 19 points, 11 rebounds for him in that one. Just an all-around great team win. Josiah Brown came in and knocked down some threes. And then they got a blowout win in that one. So going into the state championship game with a lot of confidence. And, Gene, you want to also go ahead and talk about the state championship game?
Yeah, but before we get that, the other thing, and I think in the post-game press conference with the Northwood coach, and I think he had Isaiah and Cam up there, Mr. Graves, Chad, I mean, he was great on defense because the big player for West Bladen, number 24, can't remember his name. Chad basically, and I think you or I asked the question of Coach Brown is, what has Chad been doing and practicing to be able to? He basically just stood up straight with his arms up. I think maybe 1 or 2 fouls total, and he shut down their big player for West Bladen, which allowed Cam and Isaiah and the rest of the players to do what they did. So I think that's the only other thing I would say is, yeah, as a team, all 5 starters played exceptionally well, and it was great to see Chad do what he needed to do in that game. So that's all I got. So girls, last game was Thursday. If you want, we can also, before we talk about the Northwood boys game, Southeast Alamance won their championship state game. And again, they mentioned that they were looking to do well this year, and they were happy to get past Seaforth to be able to play in the championship game. Do you get any other impressions from the because you were there for the press conference? Is that correct?
Yeah, I was there for the press conference. I didn't really watch that game between Southeast Alamance and North Wilkes, but yeah, I mean, Southeast Alamance going into that game, we knew they had a really good starting 5. They're a really deep team that can go, 6 or 7 deep, and yeah, they just kind of overwhelmed North Wilkes, held them to 33 points. So a great defensive performance from the Stallions. And, of course, I know a lot of, Seaforth, Northwood, Chatham Central fans, got familiar with Southeast with them being in the conference. But it's cool to see a conference team that we get to watch all the time go and win state. And I think with that Seaforth and Southeast game, I think the winner of that game pretty much had the best chance to win state, in my opinion. And, yeah, Southeast Alamance went there and got it done. Great team with Shania Paylor, Clara LaChapelle, Nisa McKiefer, and like we said, Natalie Lopez, Ariana Johnson. A lot of girls that could come in and make big plays for them. And they did that this whole playoff run and pretty much this whole season. And so they also will bring, I think, pretty much everyone back for that team next year as well. So Coach Amy Surratt, she has a lot going for her at Southeast, and congrats to her and her program.
Yeah, I know Seaforth was not happy about winning, but I know sometimes when you lose to a team, but that team goes on to win the state championship, it's kind of like, okay, they happen to be the best team this year. And again, Seaforth will be losing a few players, so they're going to need to reconstruct that team a little bit for next year. The big game for here, folks, and actually it turned out to be a 7:35 game because the opposing team, Reedsville, they travel well, and we saw that. I think the number that came out was there were 8,000 people at the Joel Coliseum for that game. So yeah, folks, Northwood made a good appearance. The student section was loud, but the Reedsville folks, I think the whole town just about came out for that event. So Sheba, why don't you give us a rundown of the Northwood versus Reedsville? Because it was kind of actually a game of 2 halves, but go ahead and give folks a roundup of what happened during that game.
Yeah, that first half, Northwood came out. They played really well with Reedsville, especially on the defensive end, limiting Reedsville's ability to kind of get some open looks and forced them into taking some more outside shots. They didn't really get a lot of inside touches early on, but the problem was when they did get a lot of inside touches, unfortunately, they did draw fouls on Chad Graves, and that ended up being the difference, I think, in this game, especially in the second half when Chad couldn't play as much in that second half and really defend Kendra Harrison down low. But Cam Fowler stepped up big for them in this game with 27 points, especially in that second half as they were trying to climb back. And I think at halftime they were only down 23-20. And they got a little bit away from him in that third quarter with Deontay Neal from Reedsville getting out in transition, Janiyah Sharp going downhill, and they started speeding up the game. But, yeah, I mean, Northwood never stopped fighting in this game. Like I said, Cam pretty much dueled with Deontay in that fourth quarter, but they just couldn't get the stops to get the lead under 10. I think they got it to 12 a couple times, almost got to 10, but not quite, and couldn't really make a run to really make it interesting at the end. So, that was just a quick recap of that game. Northwood, like we said, kind of like we said with Southeast Alabama, she's not hitting shots, especially in the beginning. I think hurt Northwood too. But yeah, they fought hard in this game, played fought the whole night, and really showed they could play with Reedsville in that first half. And I know a lot of people thought Reedsville was going to come in and roll Northwood, because Reedsville had pretty much did that against everybody else they played, especially on their playoff run this season. But hats off to Northwood coming in there and competing and giving them a good game.
Yeah, the only thing I'm going to add to that is I was on the offensive side for Northwood, so I was on the side of the when I was taking the pictures of the Reedsville team, and you could tell the Reedsville coach was frustrated with the way the team was playing against Northwood. I mean, they adjusted for the second half. He made the adjustments he needed to. But I think, as you said, Reedsville thought they were going to run away with it in the first half, and it didn't happen. Northwood played well, and as you said, they were only down by 3, 23-20. But you could tell, I think I got some shots of the Reedsville coach being frustrated. And you could just not only his look, but the way he was speaking to the players and to the bench. So Northwood, yes, it was a tough loss, but you did well. And as we mentioned in the press conference, there's a lot of teams in the state that would have loved to have been in that position. So being a runner-up to Reedsville this year is quite an achievement. So congratulations, guys. You didn't get the big prize, but still coming in second of all the teams in 2A, fantastic job. All right, we're going to get into what Ashibo's got in the newspaper today for this week, and I know he's going to touch. I know the stuff we talked about basketball is in there, so Ashibo, go ahead and let folks know what's in the paper that you've got this week.
Yeah, so this week we got 4 stories. Of course, our 2 stories from C4 season ended in the 2A East Regional Final, and then of course Northwood finishing as a 2A runner-ups. Third time in the last 5 years they've reached that state championship game. By the way, and you can read more about that game, like we said in that story. And then third story is a pretty cool one with Rachel Woods from Jordan Matthews. She's a jumper and also runs in the 400 sometimes for the Jets. She signed to NC Central, and I got a chance to talk to her family. A lot of her family showed up, and I think she has, I want to say 5 siblings, and a lot of her siblings were there. Of course, her parents both there with her. A lot of her coaches, including her uncle that helped her get into track, was there as well. So very cool event for Rachel. Cool to see her sign at NC Central. And then you can read more about her story, just going from being a cheerleader, not even knowing if she was going to run track, and then turning into a Division I track athlete. So yeah, you can read more about just how that happened for Rachel and how she ended up at NC Central. And then of course we have our spring sports roundup with all of our big games from our spring sports: baseball, softball, boys and girls lacrosse, girls soccer, track and field, and some boys golf things as well. And you can read more about what happened last week in this week's paper.
All right. So, I also want to let this folks know, hey, Tiffany, Sue, Jeff, I see that you're watching us. Appreciate you being on here. A lot of folks watch us after we go live. We do usually around lunchtime. Folks can join us, but most of the folks will watch us later on. The other reminder is Facebook has made a change in their policy. So these live streams that Ashibo and I do on Facebook only stay on for 30 days, but you can still find us on YouTube. So the live streams that Shibo and I did last year for the Sports Roundup are available on YouTube, so you can find us there. All right, let's go into everyone's favorite. Hold on here. I think I've got it ready. All right, who is your athlete of the week this week?
Yeah, so athlete of the week, it's going to go to Cam Fowler from the Northwood boys basketball team. Just to cap off the boys basketball season. I mean, Cam had a great weekend in the Final Four and the regional final and state championship games against West Bladen, like we said earlier. 19 points, 11 rebounds, so he got the double-double. But he also added on 5 assists and 2 blocks. So he was all over the place in that game and also was efficient, 7 for 16 from the floor. And then against Reedsville, like we said, he led all scorers in that game with 27 points. 14 of those came in that fourth quarter as he was trying to will Northwood back into that game. And then, of course, finishing the season as Northwood's leading scorer with 20 points per game. And this year, stepping into that leadership role on the court after Drake Powell graduated. This was going to be a big year for Cam Fowler, and he really showed up, did what he needed to do all year for the Chargers, and led them on this really great season. Him and Chad Graves, and of course Bo Harvey running the point, and Isaiah Blair, being the player he is on both ends on the court, was a leader on that team on the court, and finished off a great season for the Chargers.
Yeah, Cam did a really nice job. Also, remind folks he had his 1,000 career points as a junior. I think it was in the first or second game of the state playoffs. Bo Harvey also hit his 1,000 points this year. He's a senior, won't be around next year. Also, Hayes Burleson played well. He's a senior, and Isaiah Blair had some nice play as well. He's had a good season. So the seniors did really well for Northwood this year. Gave them a whole lot of options when they were out there. And for the post-game press conference after the Reedsville game, Coach Brown brought out Hayes, brought out Isaiah, brought out did he bring? No, Chad's a junior. That's right, and he brought out Bo. So he brought out the seniors, and he also brought out Cam. So, folks, Northwood basketball team, thanks for the memories for this year. All right, anything else you got in the paper before we get into the spring sports roundup?
No, I think that's all for the paper. But I do want to also just the tidbit about that senior class, right? Burleson, Shetland Skurlock, Blair, and Bo Harvey. I think they played together just the past 2 seasons. Together on the varsity level, and they went 57-7 overall and 32-0 in regular season conference play. So just another tidbit to add on to what they did at Northwood over the past 2 years.
Yeah, it was nice to see that, and the other schools in the county did have their highlights as well. We was it over at Chatham Central? Someone got 2,000 points after they counted them up correctly.
Read all right.
Yeah, so we just want to let folks know, and I think he's gotten several college offers. We're not going to get into college offers right now, but I think later on in the live streams in the future, as things get a little bit more concrete, Shibo and I will be able to give you an idea as to where some of these folks may be playing next year in college. All right, so let's go into spring sports. What's going on in spring sports?
Yeah, so I'm just going to give a rundown of some of the biggest scores and some of our spring sports over this past week, starting with baseball this week. Seaford played Chatham Central, won that game 6-3. And that one, Colin Dorney, he went 3 for 3 from the plate and had 3 RBIs. And that's the first conference win for the Hawks. And then they followed that up with another big win over Eastern Randolph. I know this is out of conference, but still pretty good competition in the non-conference play, winning that one 8-2. And then that one, Daniel Whitehead went 3 for 4 from the plate, and he had 1 RBI. And then Northwood, they also won 2 games this week, winning 13-4 over Bartlett Yancey after scoring 10 runs in the 6th inning. And then they also won 8-7 over Chapel Hill with 3 RBIs from Riley D'Angelo. And then Chatham Charter, big win over them. Big win for them over Triangle Math and Science, 11-0, led by Ryder Murphy, who had went 2 for 3 from the plate with 3 RBIs. And Chatham Charter, that's not like we said last week. This is not this is one of many big wins for them so far this season. And then softball, Jordan Matthews, 15-0 win over Bartlett Yancey this week. Marcy Clark did it all for them in that one. 2 for 3 from the plate, 2 RBIs, and 6 strikeouts on the mound in just 3 innings. And then Seaforth beat Southeast Alamance 3-2. Seaforth softball having a really great start to the season. So guys, pay attention to the Hawks down on the softball field. Emma Grace Hill, great season so far for the Hawks. She was 2 for 3 in that game with 3 RBIs and 13 strikeouts, also against Southeast Alamance. And then Northwood, big win over Graham, 18-3, led by Allison Bryant, 3 for 4 from the plate, 4 RBIs in that one. And then just to go on to girls soccer, Cardinal Gibbons and Seaforth, big game last night at Seaforth for girls soccer, and Cardinal Gibbons won that one 2-1. So Seaforth, I think that's their second loss this season. Lost to 2 non-conference teams, pretty good competition. I think the first one was Apex Friendship, and now Cardinal Gibbons, and then they'll get Cedar Ridge tonight in another non-conference game. And then Northwood, big 9-0 win over Jordan Matthews in girls soccer as well. Chatham Charter, 3-0 over Albemarle. And that one, they were led by Kaylee Root with 2 goals. And Emily Scheit had 1 goal in that one. And then Woods Charter coming back after a state championship appearance with the 4-0 win over River Mill this week as well. So that's just baseball, softball, girls soccer. Also lacrosse. This week, boys lacrosse, Seaforth, they had a big win last week over Orange, and they come back and win 19-7 over Western Alamance. That's their 5th win in a row. And Ivan Grimes and Cameron Exley both had 5 goals apiece in that one. And then Northwood, 16-6 win over Eastern Alamance. Grayson Cox, 6 goals in that win. And then in girls lacrosse, we had Seaforth beating Riverside Durham 20-2, led by Natalie Becky with 7 goals in that one. So some of our biggest scores from the week. And of course, in the roundup this weekend, the one we'll have coming out next week, of course, we'll have more from boys golf, boys tennis as well, and some of our, as some of our other spring sports.
Yep, that's going to continue to build up. Yeah, you mentioned Grayson Cox over at Northwood Lacrosse. His dad is the head coach over there, and he also Grayson plays on the football team, so multi-sport athlete, as well as the fact that he was one of the folks that showed up with the student section over at Joel Coliseum for the basketball games. I want to give a quick shout out. I see Derek is watching us. He's a regular. He also gives Ashibo and I a hard time every time he runs into us at an event. But Derek, appreciate you watching. We also got Norris and Trish watching as well. So folks, appreciate you watching us live. And again, if you're watching us live and feel it's worthwhile, mention it to your friends so they can watch it later on. We're right now averaging over 1,200 views per week. So thank you very much for that. Ashibo, do you know where you're going to be over the next several days as to what you're covering, or is that still kind of up in the air?
Well, no, tomorrow night we have a big softball game. Like I said, Seaforth having a great start to the season. They're going to get to go to JM and play them in a big conference game. So I'm going to check that out tomorrow night. I think that's going to be at 6:00 at Jordan Matthews.
All right. I don't know what I've got for next week yet. I do know I am going to be covering some ACC women's and NCAA games this Friday and Saturday, so I may not be able to cover JM. So if PJ's back, he may need to do that, or Lee we can reach out to see if Lee can do that for pictures. All right. Anything else?
Nope. I think we got it all covered.
All right, folks, that's it for this week. We're basketball's over with, high school basketball's over with, NCAA stuff is going on. As Ashibo mentioned, UNC still in it. Drake's probably going to get to play a bunch again. He's been a regular starter for the team for a few games, or actually quite a few games, so I'm sure we'll be seeing him out there as well. Locally, Duke is the number 1 seed, and they're playing over at the PNC Arena as the number 1 seed. If you have an opportunity, hey, PNC Arena is a great, it's Lenovo Center now, is a great place to see a game. All right, folks, we will see you back next week. Thanks for listening. Again, remember, follow. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just about to say one more thing, just to give the dates for, Drake. Tomorrow, UNC, 4:05 p.m., is when they play Ole Miss, and then Alabama as well with Jaron Stevenson. They'll be playing Robert Morris tomorrow at 12:40 on True TV. So those 2 guys in the tournament, make sure to check them out.
Yeah, go ahead and both players have been playing well. We just have more attention to Drake because he's local versus Jaron, who's down in Alabama. But again, hey, it's two Chatham County guys. Both of them are getting some good playing time, so follow that. That's it. And again, follow Shibo R38 on X and make sure to pick up a copy of the Chatham News and Record this week, or make it easy on yourself. Just go ahead and subscribe to the paper. All right, folks, we're going to end it there. We'll see you next week, and I'm going to hit the end stream.